Hi everyone, this is Jim and we're starting a new series. This is a series where an atheist, that's me, who has never read the Bible from start to finish, I've read bits and parts, reads through the Bible and reacts to the different sections for the first time. So if you're interested in that, stick around after this. Okay, so let's jump into the very beginning, Genesis chapter 1. I'll obviously pop up the text on the screen as I read through it, but we're gonna before I move on to that, please like and subscribe to this video below, and so that way you never miss any of my new content. Let's get started. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning on the first day. And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate the water from water. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was called, and it was so. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and then there was morning, the second day. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear. And so it was so. God called the dry ground land, and gathered water he called sea. And God saw it was good. Then God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, trees on the land to bear fruit and seed to it according to the various kind, and it was so. So we're going to stop right there. Just so you guys know, I'm reading from the NIV, which is the most popular version of the Bible from what I've been able to tell. So this first part is basically the story, it sounds like, of God creating the world. It's interesting that he basically somehow created light first. Let's say no, the heavens and the earth, and it was empty and dark basically, and then it was hovering over the waters. But that was the first part, like in the beginning, he's hovering over the waters, but then he didn't create the water until a while later, so that's a little confusing. That would be my first impression of it, is how could he be hovering over the waters when he didn't create the water yet? So that's a little odd. Next, calling the water in the sky vaults is a little weird, but I guess the authors take some poetic liberty in some of those things. And then he said, let the land produce vegetation and seed-bearing plants. But did he start the water cycle? How did he just snap his fingers like a magic trick and these things happened? I wish there was more detail on what exactly happened outside of just that he said this and this happened. But let's jump back into the next section of this. So I am on, it looks like, verse 12 of chapter 1. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kind, trees bearing fruit with seed and according to their kinds, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate day from night, and let them serve as a sign to be marked sacred times, the days and the years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. I want to jump out here, and the thing that is strange to me, if you have light in day, the sun is what produces the light on earth. So how did we get from there to then he's had all these days and nights, and now he's producing the sun and the stars? So this seems out of order. So I don't know if this is just the way that it was written out of order and it was supposed to be in a different order, but this seems out of order of when things should have been done. So let's jump back in. I think I'm on verse 16. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. again, I want to jump right in. I'm guessing the lesser light is reference to the moon, but it's not a light. It's the moon is bright because of the sun reflecting off the earth. So is there, I would assume it's talking about the moon. That's the only thing that really makes sense. So if God knew that he was doing this and that these are divinely inspired words, wouldn't he have corrected the record and say, no, the sun is hitting the earth and that's what's lighting up this moon. This moon itself isn't producing any light, right? He would have known what was going to be written about, so he could have corrected the record before it's passed down all these generations, right? God set them in the vault of the sky to give light to earth, to govern the day and the night, separate light from darkness. And God saw that was good, and there was the evening, and there was the morning, the fourth day. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing to which the water teems, and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase number and fill the waters and seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning the fifth day. So God created creatures of the sea, every living thing in which the water teems. So he created all the fish, it sounds like, and all the sharks and whatnot in the sea. But then for land, it's really only talking about birds. What about all the other animals? Why were birds created first? And how is there a reason why we're only focused so much on birds as opposed to all the other land animals? Let's continue reading. Right now we're on verse 24 of this first chapter. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that moved around the ground according to their kinds. And God saw it was good. So now we get the rest of the animals. It's just weird that birds got singled out as like the first animals. They obviously, from our fossil records, they weren't the first animals, but it's strange that they're mentioned first. But we'll move on. We'll just say it's poetic license. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over the creatures that move along the ground. The thing that stands out in this passage for me, this verse, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. Who is these other people he's talking about? You know, this is the first book of the Bible, right? So who is he talking about? You know, who is he talking to? Yeah, that's sad. So, all right. God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and every other living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seeds in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth and the birds in the sky and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food, and it was so. God saw all that he made, and it was very good, and then there was evening, and then there was morning, the sixth day. So he gave, what about all the trees that don't have seeds or don't have fruits, don't have flowers? You know, who's eating those, you know? But I guess he created man in his own image and then basically told the man and the woman he created what he just told these other people or these other entities that are out there. So again, who are these other entities that are out there that he's talking? Are they other gods? Are they the angels that we haven't even had mention of yet? So I'm a little bit confused by this first part, but we'll keep moving. You know, it's already kind of getting redundant, and we're only a few minutes in, so hopefully we can move forward and see what's next. So this is moving on to Genesis chapter 2. The heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Okay, so he rested on the seventh day. He's an all-powerful being. Did he get tired? I don't know. So he wanted to bless it as holy, so basically that's why a lot of people have Sunday off. Or Saturday in some cases. So, all right, moving on. Verse 4. This is account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. But streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Earlier, they said that these plants sprung from the ground because God said it was so. But now he says this is after Adam and Eve have been created, and there's no shrub on the earth and no plants has sprung up. Didn't we just go over the fact that happened? That this is a little confusing to me. So let's keep going. Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden was a tree of life and a tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now we're talking about the creation of man again, but didn't we already do this in the previous chapter? Why are we doing this again? I don't know. Let's keep going. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. I'm going to really screw up these names. The gold of that land is good aromatic resin. Aromatic resin. And onyx are also there. The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs through the east side of Asher. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Basically, they're describing Eden, the Garden of Eden, and then these 4 rivers that flow into it. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to mispronounce a lot of the names of things. I'm not a historian, and I don't know the geography of this area very well, or the pronunciation. I'm going to do my best, but please bear with me as I screw up a lot of these names. So these are the rivers that are flowing through Eden to water the ground, but didn't we just say that there hasn't been any rain? So this is a very confusing passage. I'm sure, but this is just, the reason I'm going through this is, as somebody that doesn't believe, you would think that God, who has been described to me as all-powerful, all-knowing, merciful, just, all those things, would know what would be written about him, and would have made it as clear as possible. Wouldn't have needed translations, first of all, but would have been as clear as possible so that it didn't need to be interpreted. It didn't need to be saying, oh, what this means is this, or what this has been characterized to determine is this. It should just be clear, right? Because if God is all-knowing, he knew what would be written, and he knew that people would have a hard time understanding it. So I just want to I'm not trying to be dense about these things. I want to make sure that I'm fully aware of what's being talked about here. So I'm going to wrap up this first part here. I ended up at the end of Genesis chapter 2, verse 14, where we're talking about the headwaters of the Garden of Eden. Again, I'm just reading through the Bible verse by verse and trying to figure out what it means, and just having my initial just gut reaction. I have not read the Bible. I've read verses here and there because in the former life I was Catholic, so I have read some of the New Testament here and there, but I don't really remember it. But I've never read the Bible from start to finish, so we're going to go through it, and hopefully I get some natural reactions out of it and just trying to understand what I'm reading. I feel like I have pretty good reading comprehension, but so far I'm having some struggles. So we'll see how it goes. Please like this video below in the comments. Tell me what you think some of these questions I posed, what are the answers to them? Like, why are there two stories about creating man? Why did he say that he created these plants and then said they weren't there because there was no rain yet? So some of those things. But like the video, and I'll see you around next time in the next part of this chapter. Bye.